Hello, everybody. I am back for UFC 317. I'm not gonna lie, this is my manyth time, like manyth, not saying number, because I keep fucking making myself a fool as I'm speaking or doing something in the background and realize, that picked up on the mic. What is wrong with me, right? And then I start feeling sad. And I'm like, okay, we gotta restart this. So, I didn't make a video for Azerbaijan. I picked pretty well, made a lot of money. And I'm excited to do this for UFC 317. Some quick housekeeping. At the end of the video, I actually have PFL picks, so if you're really into the picks, like my opinions, stay for that. I've actually changed the graphics for the prelims and early prelims. It helps me get through it faster. I think it's visually still pleasing. I'm low-key stealing from, what's his name? Weasel. Because I thought when Weasel does that, I'm like, I don't really give a fuck. So I was like, if Weasel can do it, I can probably do it. Also, if you like my opinions, if you don't like my opinions, please leave a comment, please like, please subscribe, or send me hate. You know, I haven't received hate in a little bit, but if you do give me hate, I mean, I don't know, I like to argue. That's why I make these videos, right? I like to argue about it. So, to start off the early prelims, we have Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith, right? Nico Price, he sucks. Jacoby Smith, I'm a little skeptical as a long-term prospect. He has great power, and his wrestling when he gets people on the ground, like not his wrestling, his grappling. His grappling is fucking crazy. But against Preston Parsons, he tried to find the takedowns, and he got kind of shucked off, and then he slept past Preston Parsons. But I don't want to see Preston Parsons shucking you off if you're going to be the future champ, right? So I'm high on Jacoby Smith. Probably not as high as others. The price is ridiculous. But, oh, see what I did there? Don't say you're not getting it from the most clever guy in entertainment. But I think this is as easy as it gets. Jacoby Smith, buy whatever he wants. Don't take that any crazy way. Jonathan Denise versus Kevin James. Kevin James, he's new to the UFC. He's come from LFA. He's a pretty good wrestler, good submission game on the feet. He's like, he does actually look like physically like Kevin James, where he's not fat, but he's not like ripped. He's just kind of big. You know, he's like a scary ass bouncer. You know, he hits hard. He's been fighting bums. In his last fight, though, he fought a guy in Billy Ray Valdez on LFA. I actually watched a lot of that fight live, where not live in person, but live on the Fight Pass. He couldn't get him down. He was fucking him up, though, a little bit. It was close. And then he got a devastating, like, head kick or something crazy. Slept out Billy Ray Valdez. But, look, if you can't out-grapple Billy Ray Valdez, you're not... I don't know. That's tough to do. Not, like, look, that's not tough to do, Jonathan Denise. Everyone who's wanted to get him down, including Carl Williams, who basically got blackballed by the UFC to not wrestle him. That's a controversy. If you want to learn about that, I don't know, leave a comment. I don't want to get disappeared. Like, maybe that's why Mokaev also got kicked out when he talked about that. Oh, let's stick on this fight. No more of this tangent. I'm not trying to get the special forces at my house. If you can't get down Billy Ray Valdez, I have a hard time seeing you having, like, easy time getting down Jonata. I think this fight's probably going to have a lot of time on the feet. And if you're on the feet with Jonata Denise, you're taking a nap, right? I'm not going to say that this is like a lock, because Alvin Hines, if he does take him down, would that surprise me? No. So I like Jonata Denise, medium confidence. Don't think this is not where your house savings go, right? This isn't how you pay off the mafia on your $10,000 loan in a day. Okay, Cedric Dumas versus Jackson McVeigh. Tell me that isn't an accurate photo if you've seen him in real life, or over video, I guess. Cedric Dumas literally got arrested a couple weeks ago. Everyone was like, finally, we're getting this thug out of the UFC. Not even racially connotated. Like, he has a fucking nasty rap sheet, and he basically got promoted as a thug with face tattoos. But he's not really a thug in the way he fights. He's a kind of a wrestler with lanky striking, and his wrestling's mid. It's actually decent, and his striking's kind of blech. Jackson McVeigh has fought a lot of bums, and he's blown through them, which makes it kind of hard to evaluate him. Like, if you watch him in his LFA fight, He basically pushes the guy into the clinch and just knees the fuck out of him. And the guy has no idea what to do. Like, he doesn't get how to circle off or maybe like grab a leg or something. He just gets kind of accepts his KO. It's kind of brutal. I'm going to pick Jackson McVeigh from the perspective that he didn't get arrested a couple weeks ago. And he's 6-0 and he dominates everybody, which either means he's going to lay a goose egg or he's going to be fantastic. Don't put your life savings on this fight, right? That might seem obvious to some, but Jackson McVeigh, he's good, but he's not the best. Rodriguez has multiple UFC caliber wins, so I'm picking Jackson McVeigh, but this is a very low confidence pick. Like, this very low, right? Rodriguez isn't the worst. Some people say he is, but he's not. Now, Terrence McKinney versus Santa Claus. McKinney, good wrestler, really good grappler, heavy hitter, but he's got the same chin as Kevin Lee, and he has some weird cardio issues. Vyacheslav Borshev, he's a decent striker. Well, he's good. I'm not going to be an asshole. And can't really grapple or wrestle. Actually, his get-up game has been better. Like, he's not the worst. I'm going to pick Terrence McKinney, though, because if you're picking Vyacheslav Borshev, you think Terrence McKinney's probably getting slept in the first round by head kick, kind of like Ribovics did him. But here's my thing. If I think these two are fighting with good versions of themselves, Terrence McKinney smokes Vyacheslav Borshev. Terrence McKinney, I think he can find the takedowns, and if he gets the takedowns, he's going to just run circles around Borshev. And even if Terrence McKinney kind of gets a takedown defended or something, or Vyacheslav Borshev has kind of thinking about the takedown, McKinney has like stupid power. He has like that funny, uncoordinated power, like that like Francis Ngannou has, or that Tom Aspinall has, where they punch somebody and it doesn't look like it hit the hardest, and the guy starts like going, oh, I might die, right? So my pick is Terrence McKinney. Not the highest confidence. I can't ever really sell you on a Terrence McKinney pick unless it's against a bum like last time. Now, for the people's main event, I think Tracy Cortez will mount Viviane Araújo. I wish it was me. Tracy Cortez's only loss in the UFC is to Rose. People have been kind of sleeping on Rose, but she's still good. She's beat Jasmine Jasuda Vicious. Boom. Watch. Do you see how I said that name? Smoked all these other bums. Like, MMA Guru, get the fuck out of here. She's young. She's good. Viviane Araújo, I think she's on the way out. And, you know, Tracy Cortez is going to help lead her to the door. I don't really need to break that one down too much. Now, Hyder Amil versus Jose Delgado. Before I'm going to say my pick, I'm going to just kind of talk. I think this fight is mislined. Hyder Amil should be the favorite. Jose Delgado's only win in the UFC is against Conor Matthews, who might be the worst fighter to enter the UFC in the past however many years, right? People have been talking about these heavyweight bums. Pretty much Conor Matthews came into the UFC and got slept in the first round in every fight, except for when he fought Dennis Bazookia, who might be another bottom 5 active featherweight in the UFC, right? And he got slept out by that guy too. Like, Conor Matthews sucks. And Hyder Amil just beat Willem Gomez. Close fight, but Hyder Amil beat a guy in the top 20. A guy, like, looking in at the top 15. Jose Delgado just beat the worst guy in the UFC. Jose Delgado, though, the reason he's favorite, very talented fighter. He's got pretty good striking, good wrestling, good grappling from what I've seen. He's good size for the division. Hyder Amil, he's the real ancient prospect at featherweight. He's 36, 37, and he's undefeated. He's training at a Team Alpha Male. He's not the most technical in any way, but he has what he needs everywhere. But know what makes him special? He has the Merab cardio. He's the striker version of Merab. He'll keep coming. Doesn't stop. He's resilient, has a decent chin. Therefore, I pick him. Because Jose Delgado, we don't even know what he looks like in round 3 or the end of round 2. But Hyder Amil, he's going to keep pushing that pace. Like, would it shock you if Jose Delgado gets like Hyder Amil could finish him in the first round. We've seen this happen with Hyder when he's been a dog before. I just think that Hyder Amil is just a big step up. Even if Jose Delgado a year from today could beat Hyder Amil, this is just like a ridiculously sized step up. If Jose Delgado goes for a wrestling approach, I think Hyder's resilient enough to get up and work off his back and make it uncomfortable for Delgado if he trains at a Team Alpha Male. If it stays on the feet, Hyder's probably not getting slept out, in my opinion. And he's going to keep pushing on Delgado, and Delgado's going to wear out probably by the end of the second, by the end of the first, maybe. Like, Hyder is that fucking brutal. So I'm picking Hyder, medium confidence. Not only am I picking him as a dog, I think the line is like wrong. Like, it's like sometimes, like, it's like when Jose Aldo returned against Jackson Martinez and he was like a decent sized underdog, where it's like the line isn't just like, I'm not that you're just picking the underdog, you're disagreeing with the line. Like, you look at the line and say that fundamentally doesn't make sense. And that's what I'm saying about Hyder Emil. I think that he's better than the line. Like the line doesn't make sense, because sometimes I pick a dog, but I'm like, I understand the line. Like Muhammad Usman, I actually picked him last week, made good money off him last week, but I wouldn't argue with you about him being the underdog. This one, I'm like confused by that, so that's why I'm picking Hyder. I spent like 3 minutes on that fight. Now, G-Rod versus Jack Hermanson. G-Rod is the ultimate glass cannon of the division. He hits ridiculously hard. He's huge. He has wrestling and BJJ accolades out the ass. But he's chinny and has bad cardio. Versus Jack Hermanson, who's got really good cardio, really like reserved, decent striker, really good BJJ, older, doesn't make that many appearances. If this was a 5-round fight, this would be an interesting kind of like, ooh, does Jack Hermanson still have it? But in a 3-round fight, I think Jack Hermanson's not putting G-Rod away. I don't think he's taking down G-Rod. I just don't envision him beating G-Rod in the first 2 rounds. I could see it in the 3rd round, like the leg kick or like a jab starting to take effect and slowly take G-Rod out of the fight. But that's not happening in round 1 or round 2. So for that reason, I'm like insanely high on G-Rod. I think there's value up to minus 250. It's already moving up though, so get on it if you want it. Now we're starting with the pay-per-view. Peyton Talbot, Frank Ocean's boyfriend, versus Andre Lima. Now, Peyton Talbot was like the super hot prospect that everyone was wanting to glaze, like as the future #1 guy. But he had like a weird run where he fought some decent guys. Like he fought Cameron Simon, then he fought Yanis Gamori, which was a weird one, and like not a good fighter. And then they got Raoni Barcelos, which was kind of like the Jose Delgado matchup, where it's like, oh, he's a good prospect, and then they throw you against a guy who's right outside the top 15. Talbot got fraud checked, but that was from a guy with really good wrestling, better like some of the best wrestling in the UFC. And I think there's still some good takeaways from Peyton Talbot. Like, he managed to not get finished. He managed to, like, a lot of times get up. Just the takedown defense. Like, everything else I think looked good, except for the takedown defense, which was the worst takedown defense I think I've seen in a long, long time. And he's fighting Andre Lima. If Peyton Talbot was the formerly hyped up fan prospect, Andre Lima is like the industry prospect. He comes from Octagon, which is like the organization in Germany that's like probably a tier 3 org. Like, I think at tier 1 you have the UFC, tier 2 you have PFL, just from these are the 2 international orgs, and tier 3 you got your Ryzen, your KSW, and your Octagon. Lima was a champion there. He has a loss. That's his first ever fight, so take that out. He's 14-0. He's got good striking and good grappling. His 2 fights in the UFC, despite being a bantamweight, have been at featherweight against Naimov, where he had a close fight and then subbed him, which is a better win than Payne Talbot's ever had. And then he fought Miles Johns, who's a better win than Payne Talbot's ever had. I don't know why they've made this fight. I get it because they're like, who do we promote? But why can't you promote them both? Look, I'm going to say this right now, get my biases out of the way. I'm a huge Payne Talbot fan. I think he's really good for the sport. He's really fun. I think that he could give life to the bantamweight division. I think that if he became the champ or even like a top contender, he could be like the biggest star in the sport. And I really want to see that. But from the perspective of a capper, I have to pick Lima. On the feet, Payne Talbot's going to be better. But his takedown defense was horrific. Like the worst takedown defense you've seen. And although Raoni Barcelos, is a better wrestler than Lima, you know who else took down Payne Talbot like that? I think on the Contender Series, and then Nick Aguirre, who's a bum, right? He was taking down and destroying Payne Talbot. But basically, though, Payne Talbot has pretty good grappling, so he's able to get out of bad spots. And he also has some of the best cardio in the sport. Like, take him down, fuck him up, whatever, control him, take him down again, grapple. Payne Talbot's still there. Like, even in the Barcelos fight, he's still there, he's still moving. Like, when other people, like Cody Garbrandt, are done, after less work, Payne Talbot's still going. He's also a great striker, right? Lima, I would say if Lima was fighting in the rankings right now, I think he beats Rob Font. I think he beats Eamon Zahabi. Like Lima, it breaks my heart, but Lima might be the future of bantamweight. But now that I've basically said I think Lima wins, I'm gonna break down why I think there's still value in Payne Talbot at this line. If Payne Talbot has, look, of all the skills to not have that you need to improve on, takedown defense is like the best one to not have. Takedown defense, a lot of the times, like look at Alex Pereira's improvements. It's like learning to get the underhooks, learning to sprawl, your get ups, right? It's not like, how would I say this? You're not reinventing the wheel. Like, if some guy doesn't know how to strike and control the range, you don't look at, like, how would I say this, Bilal Muhammad, and you're like, okay, Bilal Muhammad, we're going to teach you the outside foot battle. And then next time against, I don't know, whoever you fight, you're going to be able to show off the inside leg kicking game like nobody's ever seen, right? You're not learning that. But no, you can learn is a skill like takedown defense. That's not the hardest skill to learn. So if Payne Talbot has learned takedown defense, he probably fucking smokes Lima. If he can keep this on the feet, I think he smokes Lima. Right? So value-wise, I do like Payne Talbot. But I can't recommend that with the fucking honesty in my heart. I'm not going to probably bet on Lima because I like Payne Talbot a lot. I'll probably end up throwing some money on Payne Talbot to be like, almost like it's a manifestation, like, please, Payton, don't let me down. Right? But Lima might be one of the best prospects in the sport. Like, I think Lima might be the best unranked prospect in the sport. You know, Payne Talbot essentially got to step up after getting dominated. This is tough. I've been talking about this fight and saying the same thing over and over, but Lima probably wins, probably a decision. I don't envision him subbing Payne Talbot, but I think he'll probably end up spending time on top and then dancing around the outside when Payne Talbot's like scared about the takedown. Now Royval versus Van. Van's on short notice after smoking Bruno Silva, but Bruno Silva kind of sucks, and Van didn't take that much damage. So I'm gonna say, like, I don't even care about the short notice aspect. But this is a tough fight to break down. Royval, like if I said that Hyder Emil is like the striking Merab, Royval is like the danger Merab. Like he's Merab who has finishing ability. His striking is probably not as technical as the other top guy striking. His grappling, like watch him versus Tatsudo Taira. Every time Royval would end up in a scramble, like even like there's one point in the fight where I think Royval is in on like a sub from like the back or something, and then within like the next 30 seconds, Tatsudo Taira's like has working a rear naked choke again, right? But Royval won that fight. Do you know why he won that fight? Because his cardio is unmatched. He keeps going. He keeps working for things. He believes in himself. He hits hard. His striking might not be the best technically in the sport, but he keeps going, and when he throws, they're unconventional, they're funky, but when they hit you, they fucking put you out, right? He has a win over Kai France, and it says sub, but it was brought in by the fact that Royval hit him with some crazy-ass bullshit. Like, Kai is like, oh, fuck, and then Royval slaps on a ghillie, right? I say that to say, this is the tough fight. If this was 5 rounds, I'd probably pick Royval pretty easily, but in a 3-rounder, when your cardio is not as much of a weapon that can be used, it's hard to argue skill for skill against Van here. Because I think Van can probably work the boxing better than Royval. I don't think Royval, because he has a dangerous grappling game, I don't think he's getting to work it on Van. I think Van's smart and skilled enough to keep this on the feet. And if it's on the feet, I think Van is navigating the striking and the boxing better than people will give him credit for. Van should not be a favorite. The fact that he is a favorite right now is a bit mind-numbing considering that he's number 12 and it's pretty predictive. Like, you know what I mean? You're kind of saying that you think Van could be the best in the world right now. And I don't know, because Van, he does get hit. He is a bit chinny. Like, if Royval sleeps Van here, nobody's going to be surprised. I mean, nobody will. Even the people picking Van won't be surprised. But I'm gonna put my fucking my balls on the table. I'm gonna pick Joshua Van here. I'll tell you why. I think Van, one thing you've seen from him, like I think it might be the most impressive skill of his, is his defensive grappling and wrestling. Royval, I don't care, will not be able to get this on the mat. Right? He won't. And then they're going to strike. And Royval, like, Charles Johnson, he's not the best striker, but he used his range really well against Van. I don't think Royval's going to use his range that well against Van. Right? I think Van's going to be safe, careful, right? And I think he's just going to, like, start working the combos on Royval. Like, Royval, he's kind of, I don't know how to say this. He's like the Dreykus, like, stylistically. Where he's just bringing danger everywhere, but if you're Van, I think Van can kind of I know that's a shitty analogy. I know that people listening like, if you're listening to this right now, you're probably like Dreykus? That's stupid. And it is. But I think Van's the more skillful striker. I think Van can keep this in the striking. I think there's a lot of fighters that Royval, like, might, like, I don't think Van, like, beats every flyweight. Like, I'm not one of those kind of guys. But I think this is a spot for Van to kind of take everything Royval's earned. I think this might be, like, the people's main event by the end of the night. Like, I really like Van here. I don't really like him. I'm a low confidence Van pick because I think if this fight plays out how it should, and how I think these guys want it to play out, I think Joshua Van wins. Just keeping it real. But, and there's always a but, Royval has the randomness. He has, like, the power. Like, if Royval, I wouldn't be shocked if he hit something like a flying knee or a spinning back fist and slept Van off of that, right? That would not surprise me whatsoever. So I'm picking Van, but low confidence, because I think I see the vision of how Van wins. And when I watch this fight in my head, I know that sounds fucking schizophrenic. I think I can see Van just navigating the striking and fucking up Royval. He won't get a finish, but I think we might see a superstar born in this fight for Joshua Van. Now, for Dariush versus Money Moicano. Now, if you're a Money Moik fan, close your ears, because I have bad news. Dariush is better everywhere than Moicano except for having a chin, and Moicano also has a bad chin. In the grappling and wrestling, Dariush is better. Moicano is really good there, but Dariush is better. In the striking, Moicano doesn't hit hard enough. Like, he's not very dangerous. He's tall for the division, kinda, but he's not like a super technical striker. He's not bad on the feet, but he's not good. And I think Dariush isn't good on the feet either, but I don't think Moicano can put him away, but I wouldn't be shocked if Dariush nuked him with an overhand, right? And Moicano, I'm going to analyze his last 3 fights. And you can go back a little further, but even if you look at the, what's his face? The Drew Dober fight. Look at everything Drew Dober's done since then. It's not a great look. He fights I don't know, Jalen Turner. Should have got finished. Jalen Turner had a stupid moment. And then Moicano, really impressively, give him his flowers, gets it done. Right? Then he fights BSD. And I have a really controversial take here. Like, Moicano basically catches a shitty... BSD throws sometimes these really slow, heavy shots that can be easily read and countered and kind of made moves off. And Moicano catches the kick and puts him on his ass. And then BSD just doesn't understand grappling off the back well enough. And considering how good Moicano is on top, Moicano just fucks him up. Easy 10-8, right? But he didn't earn the takedown. Like, he didn't, like, hit him with a cool double leg. He didn't pull him into the clinch and hit him with a nice, like, judo toss or something. He didn't reap his legs off and, like, do some, like, Dagestani or folk wrestling style takedown off the fence. He caught a kick. Second round, BSD eliminates the kick. He's blind in one eye. Moicano attempts 3 takedowns, gets none, and BSD outstrikes Moicano, wins the round uncontroversially. The controversial part is the doctor comes in, looks at the injury BSD got in round 1. Like, this injury it's already happened. We've seen the round with the injury. Doctor calls the fight off. So, BSD, when he can't see, handled Moicano pretty easily and took a round off him. If that fight goes to a decision, I think BSD might win that fight. At the very least, it might end up in a draw, right? I'm not going to go as far to say I think BSD dominates Moicano there, because I think that's doing too much. But I think that win's overrated. Like, first off, BSD's not the best, and secondly, he got help from a doctor. He then fights Islam Makhachev, and everyone you will see Because Moicano's really well connected. People love Moicano. He's a personality in the sport. But know what they say that I can't disagree more with? It was a short notice fight for Moicano. What did you expect? It was Islam Makhachev. You know who else it was a short notice fight for? Islam. Know what Moicano was prepared for? A wrestler grappler with that stood in a southpaw stance that wanted to take him down. Right? That's who Moicano was preparing for in Dariush. Know what the Islam is? He's a wrestler grappler who fights southpaw. The difference between the two is that Makhachev has much better technical kickboxing. So if Moicano got slept off at overhand or a head kick or liver shot in the pocket, I've been like, okay, yeah, that'll happen when you prep for Dariush and then you get Makhachev. You know what Makhachev does? He subbed him. You know? I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for Moicano there. You're preparing for a grappler. You have the same notice as that guy and he subs you. And he wasn't preparing for a guy with submission. He was preparing for a way different fighter in Arman Tsarukyan. From every perspective, a different fighter. Dariush and Makhachev even have somewhat similar builds. I'm not saying that Dariush is better than Makhachev or will do him like Makhachev. I don't think he is. But seeing how pathetic Moicano was there should somewhat give you a nudge. And you see that with the betting line. Prior to the last fight, Dariush was like plus 200. I had so much money on Dariush in that fight. I was so mad when Moicano got pushed off of it. Right? I've been kind of a doubter. And I think you're going to see Dariush kind of save his stock here. Moicano, I don't think he's ever been good enough to be here. And I think we're going to, hopefully, the Bitcoin and the economics have been good enough to get him enough money to live forever. Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. We're 30 minutes in. Holy shit, I spent a lot of money on these main card fights. But I'm going to spend a lot of time on this one. Did I say spend a lot of money? I might be sped. By might, I mean I am. I am picking Kai Kara France. I'm probably going to be the only person you're listening to that's going to pick Kai. But I'm going to tell you why. Right? First off, Pantoja, he hadn't really had a super dominant title defense or title fight until it was Kai Asakura, where he got the sub against a guy who didn't know how to grapple. And I think that's kind of shrouded people's opinions on Pantoja. If this was Pantoja from 3 years ago, I'd probably pick and beat Kai Kara France. That Pantoja didn't have as good grappling, I think, or wrestling, but he had heavy hands and he was like swinging. Like Pantoja used to be known as like a fucking killer on the feet. That is not the Pantoja we see today. When's the last time you saw him look particularly like dangerous in the striking aspect? Not the grappling. His grappling is fucking unreal. Like I think pound for pound, top 5 grappler in MMA. But his striking, we have not seen that be good in a while. Right? And he's fighting against Kai Kara France, who his striking can sometimes be lackluster. Like he's been outstruck twice by Brandon Moreno. He got dropped and subbed by Roy Val. Like, we've seen him get outstruck. But his striking's better than Pantoja's. And know what else Kai Kara France has? Ridiculous takedown defense. When he fought Askar Askarov, who I think has a win on Pantoja, I could be wrong. I could be uneducated on that one. Right? But he won that fight because he has great defensive wrestling and takedown defense. I think this fight's going to be more on the feet. I think a lot of people think Pantoja's going to take Kai Kara France down and wrap him up, and they're going to sit there for a while, and Pantoja's going to win probably like 3 or 4 rounds and cement himself as one of the GOATs. I don't agree with that, right? Kai Kara France, he's 3-2 in his last 5, but his one of those losses is to Amir Albazi, where he won. It's to the extent that the UFC has pretty much ignored that win for Albazi and the loss for Kai Kara France. And he basically easily but decisively beat a great wrestler. I don't think Pantoja's of that peak Albazi is probably as good of a wrestler as peak Albazi. Grappling, he's way better. But in terms of the takedown game, no. And Kai Kara France still beat him. I think this is stylistically an incredible matchup for Kai Kara France. Right? It's a guy who's lost a lot of his striking ability. He has a great chin, yeah, but he's lost a lot of his striking. Who needs the fight to go to the ground against the striker who probably has the best takedown defense and get-up game at flyweight. And because of that, I think it lines up for a Kai Kara France win. Now, method. I think Kai Kara-France's going to get a KO, right? I think that if he gets stuck on the feet, Pantoja's going to swang and bang, and I think Kai Kara-France can put him away. I think round one. Round one KO, right? I think you're going to see Pantoja try to get him down, and then Kai Kara-France is going to smoke him on the feet. Look, this is a ballsy pick. I could be wrong, but I'm going to say I'm low confidence in this one because, striker versus grappler, and Pantoja is such a good grappler. I would not be shocked. I would also not be shocked if Pantoja spanned the clock back a bit and unleashed a nasty hook into like the rib cage of Kai and put him out with a body shot, or even hit him in the chin and slept him, right? I think there are a lot of ways for Pantoja to win, but I think people are overlooking the fact that stylistically, this is like the Steve Erceg fight for Pantoja, I think. If Steve Erceg was like way more dangerous on the feet instead of being like the pitter-pat final boss. Now, given that I've given controversial takes on this fight, and even this fight, saying that I'm picking Lima, but I like Payne Talbot, you probably think, oh, he's gonna, spoiler. I mean, not really a spoiler for that. You're probably gonna think, oh, now he's gonna pick Olivera. Tried it. We see, bro. You're not different, but I'm not. I'm picking Topuria. I think the odds are a little wide considering that Olivera is so dangerous and he is so skilled in the grappling, but I'm not going to spend much time on this. Everyone else is going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Olivera doesn't have the best chin. Topuria is going to touch that chin, and when he touches that chin, he's going out. I wouldn't even be shocked if Topuria hit him in like a shot to the body and put him out. I think that Topuria's grappling and wrestling is good enough to stay on the feet with Olives. If he's staying on the feet with Charlie Olives, he's just the better fighter, the more dangerous fighter. Some people, they're going to talk about the range and they're going to talk about the size, and like Charles Oliveira is a huge lightweight. You know what's a secret? Charles Oliveira used to be a featherweight. Topuria just beat Max Holloway, which I think is a very comparable size matchup, right? Like, I know Holloway lost the weight to get back to featherweight, but size for size, that's very similar, right? I just think the boxing and the striking defense and the skills that Topuria has, this is a perfect stylistic matchup. I think Topuria, gets another star-making win. I think of any fighter active today, he's the closest to making a shout at being the GOAT of the sport, right? Now that John Jones is gone, hopefully for good, maybe Topuria will finally be the guy that can pass up GSP. Thank you for listening to my UFC picks. If you like them, please subscribe. Really quickly, if you want to stay, I'm about to do my PFL picks, but if you don't want to stay for that, have a great day. But now, my quick PFL picks. I'm going to do this in less than 3 minutes. I'm giving you that time, so I have time to waste at the end. Rafael Xavier versus Carl Albrechtsen. Albrechtsen shouldn't even be in the PFL right now. He lost to Chuck Campbell on the regional scene, who I don't rate that highly. Xavier's not the best, but he should have beat Simeon Powell. Oleg Popov will beat Rodrigo Nascimento. Rodrigo Nascimento isn't that good. Badger Ali Wash, you know what. I think Valentin Moldavsky is going to beat Alexander Romanov. I think Romanov, he's gotten too fat. Moldavsky's one of these, Fedor proteges. I think that he'll have the cardio, the grappling to kind of keep it on the feet. And I think Alexander Romanov might pass away from fat if it gets to a third round. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Simeon Powell. I like Simeon Powell. He hits too hard. I don't think he'll be able to. I think the odds are gonna. I haven't seen the betting odds for these fights, but I do have to say, I think the odds are probably going to be wide in favor of Simeon Powell, but I think Simeon Powell can get it done. I think he's just too much of a heavy hitter, and Antonio Carlos Jr., after a great first round against Carl Moore, where he showed that Carl Moore wasn't good, then kind of made Carl Moore got back into the fight while still not looking good, which, I don't know, makes me favor Simeon Powell. Dalton Rosta versus Aaron Jeffries. A lot of people are kind of picking Dalton Rosta, but Aaron Jeffrey beat him not that long ago, and Aaron Jeffrey just fought a pretty good wrestler. I think people are sleeping on Aaron Jeffries, right? I think Aaron Jeffrey manages to get another win against a wrestler, right? I wouldn't be shocked if he lost, but I think this is a good dog pick. I think Raufeon Stotts beats Sergio Pettis. Stotts' only losses in his whole career have come from freak spinning back fist from Rob and freak knee to the chin in the first both of these losses in the first 15 seconds. Any fight that he has survived past 20 seconds, he has won. I don't think that'll change. Phil Davis versus Sullivan Colley. Now, this is going to be a hot take. Phil Davis probably wins, but fuck it. I think Sullivan Colley's great value. Watch the first round with Phil Davis and Rob Wilkinson. Basically, when Rob Wilkinson, he's lost a lot of his skill. Like, he looks slow and bad. But when he moves forward and throws, Phil Davis looks like he's on the way out. And then the second Phil Davis, challenged Rob Wilkinson, the fight was over. He KO'd him. Not because I think that had more to do with Rob Wilkinson being bad and falling off than it did with Phil Davis being great. Don't be shocked if Stephen Colley sleeps Phil Davis in the first round, right? That's a sneaky pick. Don't sleep. Like Phil Davis looked like he was in trouble early in that fight. If Rob Wilkinson had a bit more, I don't know, fire in his butt, under his butt, he probably would have won. And Fabian Edwards will beat Josh Silveira. Thank you for all watching. Please like, please comment. I'll talk to you guys next week, perhaps. No, wait. Next time there's a card, I'll talk to you guys. I don't know when that is. I haven't looked ahead. Please subscribe. Thank you for listening.